Pirelli just revealed the transformation of F1 tyres. F1 tyres have evolved exponentially over the years, from the first tall and slim to the current slicks. Following the just concluded season, Daniil Kvyat was fortunate to test Pirelli's new 18-inch tyres, completing 187 laps on intermediate compounds. If you don't know, F1 tyres are far tougher than those used on ordinary cars, which are inherently built to last for 20,000 miles or more. Regardless, they would not stand a chance against the rigors of F1 racing. Often, different types of tyre compounds are available to teams, such as hard and soft or special tyres used in wet conditions. Welcome to Race Pace. Subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell for updates. In 2022, Formula 1 tyres will undergo a transformation. Never will the 13-inch tyres that have been present for decades remain, and in their place comes the 18-inch tyres, again provided by sole supplier Pirelli, which has held the role since 2011. The new sizes are part of the wide-ranging technical changes being introduced for 2022. Pirelli noted that development was challenging, which had begun since 2019. And was then prolonged when the pandemic prompted unanimous agreement for the new regulations to be deferred from 2021 until 2022. Pirelli created 5 dry weather compounds, alongside the wet weather intermediates and wets, where 3 are selected for each Grand Prix. It works to a target which has been agreed by major stakeholders of Formula 1 and the FIA. The agreement includes desirable elements such as the delta between compounds as well as strategic ambition. Pirelli thus had to consider different car performances, which evolved as clever designers unearthed more lap time. Mario Isola, the head of Pirelli's F1 tyre program, mentioned that the new tyres represent an interesting time in the sport, where the new regulations could add more excitement to the game. The Formula 1 regulations dictate that each driver per weekend has 8 softs, 3 mediums and 2 hards, as well as one of the medium or hard must be run in race trim. When you consider acquiring tyre compounds that are just right and have sufficient lap time and degradation differences to produce offset strategies so that everyone doesn't converge to the same approach, is a huge task. Pirelli mentioned that they chose to redesign the range of tyre compounds as well as the profile construction. In the target letter that was agreed, a number of parameters were placed to produce a different season from 2021. Pirelli started their testing program for the new spec compounds in February 21, with 19 drivers and 9 teams offering feedback across 28 days of track testing in 2021. After previous testing of 8 days in 2019 to 2020. The pandemic forced Pirelli to revise their test program entirely, where they cancelled on-track testing to concentrate on simulation and virtual development, as well as modelling. Using virtual screening, Pirelli was able to optimize the number of physical prototypes produced, and began the development process with the profile, before moving on to base construction. Pirelli further provided a number of fascinating facts about their 18-inch tyre development, with 392 sets being used, 30 different prototype compounds already tested, and 4,267 laps completed on 10 circuits including Imola, Bahrain and Silverstone. With doubts that the new tyres could overheat, Pirelli asked drivers in the long run to push without any saving or without any management. After they did it, they confirmed they could push more and even feel the grip staying there for more laps to come. Unfortunately, the previous 13-inch tyres were often managed by the drivers to avoid overheating. The debut of the new 18-inch tyres coincides with Formula 1's revised aerodynamic regulations. Part of the problem in recent seasons has been that drivers struggle in the wake of turbulence created by cars ahead due to the massive downforce levels produced. The new regulations aim to tackle that by relying less on overcomplicated wings and aero devices for downforce. The so-called dirty air should be significantly reduced. Isola confirmed that the new aerodynamic package will improve the functioning of the tyres. For example, when you follow in the car in front, you will lose a maximum downforce of 10% instead of the traditional 40%. One of the major difficulties drivers on track face is downforce, where losing it will only affect performance. If drivers lose downforce, they start sliding, which often results in overheating the surface of the tire, making them lose grip automatically. If drivers still have the downforce and the tire is pushed on the ground and it doesn't slide, then they are able to keep the surface temperature in range and can attack more. While the new regulations do not necessarily mean more overtaking, it means the Formula 1 2022 season will have more closer racing overall. Hopefully, the phrase, "keep the tire in the right window," which has often been trotted out in explaining subdued performances by teams, will be eased in 2022, if not diminished entirely. The work range of the tire often dictates the statement, and in 2022, the new 18-inch tire will have a work range that is defined by grip. The working range defined for next year's compound is wider, but if drivers want to operate the tire exactly in the peak of grip, then it is still difficult. If drivers move from the peak, they feel less loss of grip compared to what was during the 13-inch tires. Isola explained that when the drivers have a qualifying session and 10 cars are fighting over 2 or 3 tenths of a second, then staying closer to the peak of grip will make a difference. Formula 1 drivers have had their first proper taste of 18-inch tires in the official post-season Abu Dhabi test in mid-December of 2021. 16 of the 20 race drivers of 2022 tested, except Hamilton, Nikita Mazepin and the Williams drivers, as they tried out the new tires in the 2019 Mule cars. When asked about the tires, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc said, "It's challenging for us drivers, and I think it will be more challenging next year to drive those cars overall. It probably has a bigger window to work, especially in cold conditions. But it is also quite tricky whenever you lose the car at high speed especially." Alpine's Esteban Ocon said, "It's very different. I think you can push the car in different places compared to before. The 13-inch had good grip on the brakes, but now the 18-inch, you can roll more speed into the corner, but you have to brake a bit earlier. Things like this, you are not exactly pushing in the same places." 2-times world champion Fernando Alonso, who raced larger profile tires during his sports car sojourn, also said, "It's going to be a different driving technique, but I think during the winter we'll get used to it. I think we will experiment a bit. The load you put on the tires is different. They behave differently at higher speed than lower speed." Compared to the previous tires, the new 18-inch tires are bigger, and the cars will be modified to fit the new tires. However, the drivers will need to get used to the slightly different view as the new tires are larger. The large tires mean that seeing the curbs will be more difficult. With the tires, the vehicles will gather an overall 11 kilograms weight gain from their 4 tires, 2.5 kilograms in front and 3 kilograms rear. A few drivers tried out the new wheel covers, which could feature LEDs for potential sponsorship purposes. But knowing the effect of these so far is tricky due to the different aerodynamics and braking systems for 2022. Pirelli estimates that the new package will be around half a second per lap slower than the 2021 cars. But that rate of development means they'll soon be quicker. This is not the first time Pirelli has changed its products. In 2011, its directive was to produce high-degrading tires that created multiple stops, sometimes as many as 4 per race, with a massive performance drop-off. In 2014, Pirelli had to adapt to the hybrid power units that developed torque in a different manner. In 2017, it introduced wider rear tires, while over the years the desire for high-degrading tires dwindled in favor for more durable rubber. Conclusion: what do you think of the new tires? Will they improve the overall racing experience of Formula 1? Let us know in the comments box. If you enjoyed the video, like the video and share the video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications for our juicy content.